Hey everyone, Tony from DeteCTing is Life. The next 2 weeks we're going to be switching it up a little. I am actually going to do a two-part 2020 wrap-up video, with the first video being all relics, buttons, and antiques, stuff like that. Second part of the video is going to be all sorts of coins, rings, and anything that I couldn't fit in the first video. So let's jump right into it. Happy New Year, and let's hope 2021 is much better than 2020. Thanks for watching, guys. Off over here, we got quite a few solid silver spoons. A lot of them I have polished up. Almost all of them have fancy script engraving, as you can see. This one is actually a very expensive brand, a Wallace sterling silver spoon. This one I looked up and is a company out of New York from 1865. I should have the name, but I don't. I could post it in the comment, but I was able to look it up by that hallmark of the S with the wings. He was a famous silversmith out of New York around the 1860s. Couple others, all solid silver spoons, all with hallmarks. One that's missing the bowl, a big old fancy serving spoon. This one is very old and crude, no hallmarks, but looks like a little child's spoon. Bunch of pieces, as you can see too, all have fancy script engravings on them. It was a good year for finding sterling silver spoons. Over here we have a bunch of buttons, tomback buttons, flat buttons, some fancy tomback buttons, some really old colonial copper and brass buttons. Probably one of the most interesting buttons I found this year is this one. It looks like it has a rooster on it. This is actually a, an old German button. Like I said, I'll post descriptions of all of these. Another tomback button that I thought was a cut Spanish. An old pendant that has, what looks like a clock or a sundial on it. And over here we have a old sportsman's button with a dog, kind of fancy, and a bunch of these are all my pretty gold gilded buttons. That B. Pour & Co. is a very rare button. I actually have two that I found. There's the other one. They were only produced at 161 Pearl Street in New York for one single year. I want to say it was 1859. That's a Benedict and Burnham button. Those were produced in Waterbury, Connecticut. A lot of these are Scoville buttons that were all produced in Waterbury. If you guys don't know, Waterbury, Connecticut, Scoville, Benedict and Burnham, and the Waterbury Button Company was actually like the button capital of the world. Almost all our military buttons were produced by the Scoville Company or in Waterbury, Connecticut. As you can see, tons. That's an old snowflake style tomback button. This is probably another very unique button that I found. It actually has a, it's a flat button that actually has a Roman ruler stamped into it, which is very odd. Never seen a flat button like that ever in my life. Like I said, tons of decorative old flat buttons. This is a Cheshire, Connecticut military button, 1794. And over to the side, as you can see, are just piles of flat buttons. There's gotta be, I don't even want to guess. I had to have dug, I would say, over 500 buttons this year. These are, there's nothing in here. These are completely full to the absolute brim of buttons. And a lot of ones that are just completely destroyed I end up throwing out unless they are complete. I don't really keep them. Moving on, we have some beautiful locks. This is a beautiful, complete Corbin lock. I'm surprised it came out of the ground and cleaned up this nice. It's still, I oiled it and the hinge still works. A beautiful old lock, tiny little old lock. Some lock plates, another old lock, another tiny little lock with the skeleton key. This one's not old, I just thought it was interesting. Bowser from the old video game I used to like to play. Probably one of the nicest skeleton keys I've ever seen dug on all the metal detecting forums I've been on. It's a beautiful old decorative skeleton key in absolutely great condition. Bunch of small watch keys and different types of keys, broken skeleton keys, more lock plates. Over here you can see tons of iron skeleton keys that I've dug. A bunch of other Corbin locks. I did find, this is the band to it, but if you look, I did find a Rolex, and I actually looked it up, and it's actually had a platinum band. I guess in the 80s and 70s, they did make fake metal that were not knockoff Rolexes. Today, it's impossible to get a Rolex that's not made solid of precious metal. But in the 70s and 80s, they did make non-precious Rolexes. And like I said, the band did test out positive for platinum. A beautiful pocket watch with a train on it. Probably one of my coolest relics of the year. A very old intact razor blade. Bunch of other watch parts, watch winding keys, some harmonica reeds. This I actually thought, this was in one of my videos, I actually thought it was a pocket watch. Let's see if I can open it for you guys. I thought it was a pocket watch, but once I opened it, I realized it's a compass. It's not that old. I think it's from the 1940s. I was able to look it up by that company in there. Made in New York, a 1940s compass. And moving on, we have bells. Broken piece of Conestoga bell, another Conestoga bell. This very fancy, if I can get it in my hand, very fancy Conestoga bell that I found. Sadly, the ringer is missing. And this is my nicest Conestoga bell that I found that actually still had the ringer inside. It broke off just at the top, and I was able to re-secure it with some solder wire. But that's the original ringer that came in it, and still rings. Bunch of crotal bells, some more modern, couple old style ones. This is an old combat crotal bell. We got a very tiny little crotal bell, if you can see the size of that thing. Sorry, they rolled away on me. Another one. You can see there's some older style ones and some newer style bells in here. Some very interesting finds also. So you can see two normal style ox knobs, and you'll see this in an upcoming video. I'm spoiling it right now, but I actually found a solid silver ox knob that tested out, and it is 925 silver ox knob. It weighs like 1.5 ounces. On to, we have a whole bunch of buckles, and this isn't even all of them. This is an entire container of broken shoe buckles frames. All pieces of broken shoe buckle frame. A couple nice belt buckle plates. Some other interesting buckles. Some interesting suspender clasps. Another interesting style buckle, I would assume. That was in a recent video with the elephant. This one has a moon, smiling moon, and a bird. We got some shoe buckle internals. My only complete shoe buckle on the ear, still with the tongue and shape intact. They're rusted solid though, so they don't move anymore. Bunch more pieces of old shoe buckle frame. Big, giant, massive shoe buckle. That guy had a whopping foot. This is a piece of spectacle buckle, which is about 1600s. Some more fancy shoe buckle frames. Bunch more buckles. This is actually a shoe buckle that I did a little project on, and I wanted to see if I could restore it all to its glory. And so this is a brass shoe buckle, completely sanded up and polished back to life how it would have looked 300 years ago on someone's foot, like a nice shiny piece of gold that they would wear. That's a old colonial shoe buckle that I did some refurbishing to, just to see. Couple more modern horse buckles. This was from a horse farm that I found a ton of interesting odd buckles. One with a pawn on it and some military looking stuff. One with a whale. One with what looks like a nautical compass. And like I said, there's tons, and I have piles more of all sorts of buckles. Next pile, we got some Civil War stuff. This is actually a Civil War sash. It's hard to see. It's very hard to see. I wish it would have came out in better condition, but that has the same eagle. It's actually on a Civil War button right on the front, so that would be like a Civil War suspender clip. We have a Connecticut Civil War militia button, 2 New York Excelsior Civil War buttons, 3 General Service buttons, and 1 Eagle Infantry button. This is a Civil War era matchbook holder. I don't know if you can see, but the patent is like January 17th, 1860. That would be an old Civil War era matchbook safe. This is a Civil War crossed rifleman's pin that would have went on the hat. Very cool find. I don't know how I got that out in one piece. It's so fragile. Some martingale hearts. If you guys are unfamiliar, they would have went on horse saddles. I think they were good luck. One cut out, and one that you can see someone hold and probably stitched into something, and another punch out. Some old picture frames. Old brass picture frames. This one I started doing also a refinish job on to see if I could bring it back to all its glory. I haven't got to completing it. It was very, very badly corroded, so I really had to work on it. But you can see it's a beautiful old brass picture frame. Very small picture frame. Not even sure what this is. I found 2 similar items. They have these small hooks on them and a decoration. I don't know if it would have went in a pocket, or I really am not sure what these are. If anyone knows, please drop a comment below. Here's the other one I was referring to, where you can see it has a bent over hook and a fancy decoration. The only thing I could think of is if it would hang on someone's coat pocket, almost as like a fancy decoration. This is another decorative belt plate. You can see the old belt plate harness. That's what that is, or a sash buckle, something like that. We got some, let's see, this is a part of an old umbrella tip. We got an old doorbell. I mean, it's not that old, but I thought it was kind of unique. It's very fancy, and to me that looks like an old doorbell button, but I'm not sure. Could be completely off. Another old relic that has looks like a swan with its neck bent over. Probably a coat hanger or some kind of finial decoration. This was a very odd find. I found this, and it is a it's an anchor with a cross and an anchor on it. I have no idea what this could be, but found that in an old field. If anyone knows what that is either, I would love to know more about it. Another old, semi-old doorbell plate where it says push, probably from the turn of the century, early 1900s. Some kind of fancy brooch, I would assume, with a big fake stone in it. I mean, it could be an amethyst, but I'd have no way to tell. This is probably one of my cooler relic finds too. This was full of wood, and that is a old cane topper with a bunch of stars on it. And I really like that find. I think it came out beautiful. Little lemon juice, and it cleaned right up and looks beautiful. Another interesting relic with looks like script RK on it, and I forget what kind of plant that is. A lily, or that's interesting, and I'm not really sure what it is. First I thought it could be a money clip, but if you look, it's not open, and it has this screw hole, so, but very decorative and intricate. I really like that. On we go. Bale seals. Well, this is another one of my favorite finds of 2020. This is an old wax matrix. It would have had some kind of matrix in there, and it would have been hung and stamped into an envelope, but I thought that was a really cool find. Too bad it was missing the actual matrix part itself. This is a whole container of Bale seals. This is a very unique one that actually I was able, if you look on the back, let's see if I can, you can see someone carved 1772 into it, and it was from a 1750s house, but wasn't able to find anything on the company, which looks like it says D Leeds, which I know Leeds is a township in the UK. But bunch of Bale seals, all different kinds and shapes, some with writing, some old railroad ones, tons and tons of different types of Bale seals. I didn't bother putting all these out because there's so many of them, but this is a whole container of musket balls, all different eras. Tons and tons of round balls, all sizes and shapes, from 69 down to pistol balls. And this was the only Civil War bullet found this year. A beautiful drop. No Washington Arsenal, but a beautiful mini ball in great shape. But what do we got next? We got thimbles, tons and tons of non-precious metal thimbles, some aluminum advertising thimbles, but I did manage to find 2 silver thimbles this year. One with a nice hallmark in it, size 8. And I'm assuming because it's so white that it's probably a lower quality silver. I've never seen a silver come out looking that white even after cleaning it. And then another tiny little thimble, size 5, actually has the landowner's initials from the property that I was metal detecting on. This is found from a Revolutionary War camp, and it is actually a Revolutionary War era dagger. The blade is broken off inside, if you can see that. It doesn't want to focus. There's no handle, but like I said, that is a Revolutionary War era dagger with the blade broken off inside, and it's very fancy and ornate, so I'd assume that would have probably been an officer's dagger of some sort. We got a bunch of Model T valve stem caps, some replacements, some originals, bunch of cufflinks, all different kinds. Some modern, some older ones, some gold gilded, some broken, some all sorts of different style cufflinks. And down here we have the good cufflinks from the year. We have one part of a solid silver one that's very fancy. Another part of a, I would assume, looks like a colonial age one, a very old silver cufflink. One beautiful, complete colonial era cufflink. I'm going to try to be very gentle with it because I don't want to break it, but was silver plated at some point, and it is very fragile with a very old pattern on it. This fancy script G, I would assume, cufflink. A bunch of collar studs. I found a ton of these in one of the parks I hunt. There's collar studs everywhere. Military stuff, more modern military. We got a bunch of Great Seal buttons. All different sizes, from coats to cuffs to what looks like a giant hat one to a rifleman's one, which would be like 2nd Infantry. These are also two very unique finds. They actually have examples of these in the National Museum of History. These are two of the earliest thermometers, scales ever made from the first thermometer. And it's hard to see, but you can see the company up top, G. Tagliabue, made in Pearl Street in New York, and then it has all the temperatures. And if you look, it says like hot, and where 96 is, it says blood, and where 32 is, it says freeze. And like I said, I found two of them. And then last but not least, some other interesting relics. An old skeleton key door knocker. This is a late 1800s counterbell top. That's very fancy. Like I said, late 1800s would have been a counterbell of some sort. And then this is the most fancy mason jar lid that I've ever found. This actually had the white porcelain milk glass inside of it, and like I said, one of the most fancy mason jar lids I've ever found. So, well, that wraps up, like I said, just the stuff I chose to put out for the 2020 Relics wrap-up review. Like I said, we got everything from silver spoons to buttons to buckles and keys and pocket watches, harmonica reeds and bells. Like I said, if there's anything you guys got a comment about, any of the finds that you can give some information on that I am stumped about, I would appreciate it. And hope you guys enjoy this wrap-up video. Thanks for watching.